Hi there, I'm Mickey. I am not your mama's minister, and today I'm going to be talking about animals. Now, some of you know I am not an animal lover, although I do believe in animal rights and protection for animals, because as I've said before, as far as I know, the only thing that the gods actually say you absolutely have to protect is children and animals, not this women and children type things. As far as they're concerned, women can take care of ourselves. But so the question was posed to me by a client's 13-year-old daughter of whether or not her pet that just passed away, which I believe was a cat, um, was going to heaven. So I will go ahead and talk about the whole heaven idea on another video, but so apparently her family's minister had said that, oh well, pets don't go to heaven. I'm not sure why churches are still teaching that. I'm not. I think that regardless of whether you personally believe that animals have a spirit and therefore they go to heaven, I think that telling a child that, or somebody who is in mourning because they've lost their pet, is a really cruel thing to do. And spiritual leaders and spiritual teachers and spiritual advisors are not supposed to be cruel on, and be comfortable being so cruel. So, in answer to the question, I will go ahead and say that yes, because all living things are connected. Of course, your pet has gone into the afterlife and the um, spirit world. And so that's my answer. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with me, but that's my answer. That's what I believe. Okay, so um, her question sparked the idea that I very rarely talk about animals. I very rarely talk about animal magic. I very rarely talk about totems. The extent is when somebody asks me, or when I'm talking about the fact that I was devastated to find out that my Nawali is the deer, because I thought that it was such a pussy uh, animal totem to have, until a hunter actually pointed out to me that deer are actually pretty badass. So let's see where we should start. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Let me adjust my chair because I realize that my ass is sticking out and it's causing my back to hurt. Um, so first, I wanted to talk about, of course, answering the question, do animals' spirits go to the afterlife with human spirits? Of course. Um, there's no question in my mind of that. But, so talking about animals and having to do with using animals in your spirituality, in your mystical practice, it's very, very common. Most people out there are animal lovers, and many, many people have pets, or they do things like feed the strays, and so there's some connection to the animal world. Even when you have somebody that is a hunter that hunts for food, not for sport, but for food. When you have a farmer or a rancher that deals with, raising raising cattle and so forth for us to later eat. Um, there is some sort of connection and some sort of understanding between the animal kingdom and us. I mean, I realize that we're part of the animal kingdom as well. Yes, I know. Calm down. Um, but so when we're talking about how to use your pet or your favorite animal, or you've been having dreams having to do with a specific animal coming to you, these are not uncommon. So it's very, very common to use any type of animal totem or image or fetish, or, and I don't mean sexual fetish, symbolism, anything like that having to do with your spiritual path and working with animals. And so regardless of whether you go with the basic totem that most of us know, that there are such things as animal totems and or familiars, allies, goodness sakes. And that isn't even including when you are talking about, like I mentioned earlier, ranchers. There is a connection there because the livelihood of those humans depends on the livelihood and later, of course, death of those animals. And so all of those things play a huge part in how we recognize the importance of the the animals in our lives and in the world in general. Um, it's always very sad for me when I see that there's a new animal on the endangered species list or anything like that. Even though I'm not an animal lover, I do recognize that we certainly want to keep them around, right? Absolutely. Um, so let's see, where should I start? Oh, I've kind of started. So when you are talking about your pet, there are things like healings, there are things uh, consecrating your pet to work with you in mystical in a mystical manner, or there are ways to do protections for your animals regardless of whether they're on a farm or in your apartment. There are, oh goodness sakes, so many different things that you can do. You can do blessings on your veterinarian. You can draw hex symbols. In fact, some cultures already know this, hex marks on your barn to protect the animals that are being kept in the barn. There are workings for breeding purposes, whether you're breeding for show animals or whether you're breeding for food animals. So there are so many different mystical workings for animals. And if you're sitting here watching this video and you're sitting there going, I would really like to know what my animal totem is, that's kind of up to you to figure out. It's an animal that you feel a kinship towards. It's an animal that you feel like you seem to dream about or see very often. Sometimes they come to us and we don't even realize that they've come to us. Because we just realize, oh, I saw crows. I saw a murder of crows when I was coming out of the store, things like that. So a lot of connection to that specific animal. Another thing is, just like with anybody or any entity in the spirit world, many times they have to come to us when we are in a dream state. And so if you have Smokey the Bear coming to you in your dreams over and over again and you're like, what the fuck? Just remember that could be representing that the bear is your one of your totems. And so don't be surprised by that. Don't be curious by that. You can take a look and see what the bear represents. It may be something temporary, trying to give you a message having to do with the qualities of a bear. So many different explanations. But there are those of you out there that animals are very, very important to you. I know people who make whether they're jokes or whether they're serious, of I like animals more than I like people, things like that. And so for you, it's very important that you recognize the connection between you and the animals that you're talking about. What is the connection? Are you using them or utilizing them for their greatest potential, spiritually speaking? Or are you just, letting the cat climb up on you and claw while he's making biscuits? Or are you using it for what it can be, whether it's blessing the animal while it's on your lap, whether it is using that energy, which many people know already that, cats have a highly sexual energy. And so all of these things, and so do the deities that they are sacred to, Bast, Sekhmet, and so forth. And so when you're looking for your animal totem, when you're looking for your animal ally, your familiars do tend to be ones that you're working with in person, but they can also be ones that you're simply petitioning or summoning that energy of that animal while you're going to do some specific work that that animal would do well with. Ants, teamwork. You know, let's say you have a job in a call center and everybody hates each other. You may want to go ahead and summon some ant energy to see about working together as a team. Things like that. And so as you see, you can incorporate your love for animals. You can incorporate that connection that you have with them, even if you don't have a pet. If you're an animal lover, if you love a specific animal or a specific type of animal, then incorporate that into your mystical work, incorporate that into your spiritual work. See what it feels like to work with some of the deities or some of the spirits that are connected to animals or connected to the specific animal that you like. And so you may find that because you are somebody that has a fondness for animals and has an affinity for their safety and their protection and so forth, then you may find that that's extremely helpful and extremely powerful when you're doing workings, regardless of the kinds of workings that you're doing. I have not known anybody to work any curses per se, or banishings, or any of the more what you might call negative or aggressive mystical work. I haven't seen them use animals for that, but that's not saying that you couldn't. I'm not experienced with it, and so I can't tell you anything about it. But I know for magic that is, or mystical work that is pulling to you, or it is drawing a specific energy to you, go ahead and jump in there with some animals. You know, you might find that it actually helps you out. I've known people that don't do mystical work unless their cat crosses the sigils and so forth that they've done on the floor. So it just depends on what you want to do with it. And let's see, having to do with any type of shape-shifting, because some of you know I do absolutely believe that there are shapeshifters out there. I kind of believe in almost everything. And so if you are working with any type of shape-shifting energy, so for example, werewolves or any type of shapeshifter, you can absolutely petition or summon or invoke or evoke. I'm struggling for my words right here, but you can I kind of zoned out there. You can absolutely use any of the animals that are known for being shapeshifters. So, and there you go, you know, another sympathetic magic. If you know that chameleons are maybe not so much shapeshifters, but definitely all about the transformation. And even working with wolves, if you're wanting to work on any type of lycanthropy working or mystical work. And the list goes on and on. I mean, honestly, if I was an animal, person, I would probably be able to do a video for an hour about all of the different things that you can do with your pets, your farm animals. And just remember, like I said, you definitely don't want to intentionally injure or harm or kill an animal when it is not a necessity. And so that's, that kind of puts an ugly taint on your soul that is just ick. I think that might be about it. If you have any questions, if you want specifics on how to do any of this work that I've talked about, or if you have some issues with your own pet and are needing some healing workings or anything like that, then be sure to drop me a line. And as always, many blessings, much love, and please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I will talk to you soon.